Hey everybody, it's Jeff. Welcome to part 4 of our video series where we take an old used electric kiln and turn it into a gas-fired soda or salt kiln. In this part of the series, we're going to take a look at how much does it cost to build everything. If you haven't seen part number 1 yet, in part number 1 we built and test fired the kiln. In part number 2, I coated the inside with castable refractory and some other coatings to see which one will last the longest. In part number 3, we did a soda firing and an unloading of that firing, and the results were amazing. If you haven't seen that, go back and check it out. And this is going to be part 4. In part 4, we're going to see how much does it cost to build the kiln. Now, just like anything, you can spend a lot of money or a little bit of money. I'll tell you what I spent, what it would cost new, and of course, you're always going to want to see if you can get something used if you're trying to save some money. And let's be honest, if you're trying to do this, you're probably trying to do it on a budget. So we'll go over everything. I'll have the complete spreadsheet, and I'll also have the plans for the kiln so you can follow along, and we'll see where we got everything and how much it costs. Okay, so to begin with, we're gonna start off with the kiln. You need a used kiln. And I'm gonna put that in the budget for $200. And I wouldn't spend more than $400. The reason being is the kilns have about 60 bricks in them, and to buy 60 brand new bricks is going to cost you around $400. So if you spend more than $400 on the used kiln, you could just buy new bricks and build the same kiln with brand new bricks, right? Unless you're getting kiln shelves and posts and everything like that with it. Now, in my case, I spent $100 on the kiln. But with that kiln, I also purchased a second large oval kiln and the kiln shelves to go with it. So total price I paid $200 for the oval, $100 for the small kiln, and $40 for all the shelves and the parts. So I spent $340 for the shelves, the posts, the kilns. And if you haven't seen the how I built it yet, I used the lid for the oval kiln for the base. And several bricks in the 1027 size kiln were broken, so I replaced them with some of the bricks from the oval kiln. Now, next part of the kiln is the cinder block base. The cinder blocks just separate it from the ground and make a nice base to lay the bricks on. I wouldn't recommend just putting it on the ground. The water from the ground will soak into the soft brick and make it not insulate anymore. You need 8 cinder blocks, and the total for that is $17.36. Now, moving on is the brick. Now, the prices I'm going to show you here, I got from Smith Sharp Brick Supply. I've heard lots of good things from them. I've never purchased anything from them, except I guess they are affiliated with kilnshelf.com, and I did buy my advancer shelves for my other kiln from them, but I've heard many good things about them. I just use these as a reference for the prices because they posted pictures of the prices online. I bought my bricks, and I only used 10 bricks for this firing. The rest of them I already had. I bought the bricks and all the refractory supplies from Larkin in Georgia. Larkin was amazing. They were incredible. I ordered the bricks, and literally the next day I had them coming all the way from Georgia to Florida on a semi-truck. Next day I got all the castable refractory, and they were so helpful on the phone. I couldn't recommend them enough. So if you're anywhere in the Southeast, or maybe anywhere on the East in general, Larkin might be the people for you, but they don't post their prices online. So we're going to just look at Smith Sharp, and they're in Minneapolis. For the K23 soft bricks, that's the insulation that goes underneath the kiln and around the outside. You're going to need 40 soft bricks at a cost of $4.90 each for $196. And then you're going to need some hard brick. The hard brick is where you can either spend a little bit more or a little bit less. In this price quote, I have divided the chimney from the base of the kiln. We're using heavy duty bricks on the chimney, and then super duty bricks on the floor and the bag wall. You could build the entire kiln out of just the heavy duty. You could even go cheaper and get the light duty bricks for the chimney, but I wouldn't recommend it. If I were building it myself, I'd probably build the entire kiln out of super duty because of one experience in my life where we had taken an old heavy duty brick and cut it with the brick saw to make kiln posts. It completely melted the post afterwards, and the entire stack of the kiln fell down. This was when I was in my 20s on a wood-fired kiln, and because it's kind of hard to tell which bricks are which sometimes, if you're ever going to take these bricks from this kiln and put it into another kiln or cut posts with them or do anything else where you might need to have some heavier duty hard bricks, then you might want to go up a grade. It's not that much more expensive. It's about $100 extra for this kiln build to get the best bricks. And that way, if you want to take it to another kiln in the future or cut bricks out of them for posts later on, you don't have to worry about them melting. When you look at the specs here, the heavy duty ones are for areas where only one side of the brick gets hot. And so it just has a hot face, and then the back face is the outside of the kiln, or an insulating soft brick or something else. If it's ever going to go in the kiln and it's going to have heat on more than one side, you need to get the Super Duty bricks, and that's what kiln posts are made out of, right? And so if you ever think you're going to cut these up for kiln posts or take them to another kiln and use them in something structural, it might be something where you want to upgrade to the Super Duty. For example, I separated them heavy duty for the chimney and then Super Duty for the base. So for the Super Duty ones, for the base of the kiln, you need 47 hard bricks at a cost of $6.25. And the total there is $293. And then for the chimney, you need 38 bricks for $182.78. Now you're gonna need 2 bricks that are a little bit bigger, 11.5 by 4.5 by 2.5. And this is for your flue brick that goes over the flue and the damper slot. Now, I couldn't find a price for these online, but I'm assuming they're around $10. You can totally take and cast them. If you don't want to spend extra money on them, you can make a mold and cast them. And I did that with my kiln build. If you watch my other video, you know I made them the wrong size, and then I ended up just cutting some bricks that I had that were larger down. But I put the price down here for $10 you need two for that, so that's 20 bucks. Then the burner. This is another area where you can save some money. From what I have here, I bought a Ward MR100 Raku burner. It has the hose and everything attached to it. The cost for that was $450, but you could save a little bit money. You could get the MR750 burner. I think that would work great. The reason why I got the MR100, which is a little bit more, is because I eventually want to build a bigger kiln. The MR100 just puts out more power, so it'd be good for a bigger kiln. So that's something to think about. If you're going to keep it at this size, or you're going to use it for Raku in the future, the burner, you might just go with the MR750, save yourself some money. You may also be able to use the Harbor Freight weed burner, which is like 30 bucks. I did fire my kiln up to bisque temperature with that, no problem, on just a cheap barbecue tank, and it worked just fine. Would it get to cone 6 or cone 10? I don't know. I haven't tried it. Maybe that's something I can try out in the future, but I imagine it might work just fine. You could save some money. And then I got the Ward 2-tank gang connector, and that was $92.95. And what that does is it allows you to hook the gas up to 2 tanks. And the reason why you want to do that is because it pulls from both tanks at the same time, and that keeps your tanks from freezing up. If you've ever had your tank freeze up from just using one tank, you know how awful that is. You have to sit out there and pour hot water on the tank. It's a nightmare. So that's, in my opinion, a necessity. You might be able to get away with it by just pouring water on your tank, but I spent $92.95 on the connector. You could probably also build yourself one really cheap. Ward did an amazing job, and I had no problem paying the $92 to have them put it together and me not have to worry about it. I also got the Ward POL extension, and what that does is it allows you to take the burner off of the 2-gang connector if you just want to hook it to one tank for like a Raku firing or something. Totally optional. You don't need that. Only reason why you should get that is if you at some point may want to just connect it to one tank for like a Raku firing or another kiln or something like that. Now, the castable refractory, I used 2 bags. I used less than 2 bags, and that's including casting 2 bricks. So 2 bags would be plenty. And if you watched part 2, you know that there might be some other options using some other coatings that we're going to find out if they work in the future. But I used 2 bags, less than 2 bags of castable. I forgot the name of mine. I'll put it on the screen. But I got that from Larkin, and they shipped it immediately. I got it the next day. But I'm going to put up a really popular one that I think most people use. I think it's called Mizzou. Again, it's from Smith Sharp. And again, the reason why I'm doing this is because the price is on the website. And the cost of that castable refractory is $62.15 a bag. And you need 2 bags, so a total of $124.30. And then the propane, right? You need gas to fire it. Mine uses about 9 gallons per firing. I got 2 40-pound tanks, and that's 18 gallons. The total for the gas for the firing, and you're going to use less than this, it costs about $35 to fire, is about $62.10 for the gas. Now the propane tanks, I got those at Tractor Supply. I got 2 of them for $109.99 each for a total of $219.98. Now, this is where you can save some money. Most of the kilns I've fired in my life didn't have pyrometers. I've never needed one. I've had a couple of really fancy gas kilns when I was in college that we had that did have pyrometers, and they fired themselves basically. But most of the kilns I've fired in my life did not have pyrometers, and I kind of got a fancier one. And we'll talk about this in a minute. But the pyrometer I got is a dual port pyrometer, meaning it can measure 2 temperatures at the same time. I got a 9-inch thermocouple because, again, I'm planning on taking all this stuff and putting it in a bigger kiln at some point when this kiln wears out. So I thought a 9-inch would be better to go through a thicker wall at some point, but you really only need the 7-inch. So the prices I'm going to give you are for the 7-inch. So the price of the pyrometer with the thermocouple is $129.95. That's for one thermocouple. So for this case, you'd also need a second thermocouple. And again, I got a 9-inch, but this is for prices for a 7-inch is $38 per thermocouple from Bailey. Now, this is where you can save some money. I found this same pyrometer, and this has really kind of burned me. I was like, what the heck did I do? I found the same pyrometer for $9, the exact same one, on AliExpress. I just looked now and it's now more than $9. I think it's like $15. I'll put the price on the screen, but it's exact same pyrometer. And I'm pretty sure that's where Bailey got it, because it took like 3 or 4 weeks to get it in the mail from Bailey, and Bailey's not that far. So I'm pretty sure what they did is just ordered it from AliExpress and then shipped it to me. Kind of burned me a little bit, but that's my fault for not shopping ahead. So you can get one of those for quite a bit cheaper. The $38 for the extra thermocouple seemed like a lot to me. I decided since I didn't really need a pyrometer anyway, I might as well try one of the cheap ones on Amazon and see if that would work. And it worked just fine. It was half the price or less. And of course, they also have them on AliExpress for even cheaper. I think they're about $8. You can save about $30 on the thermocouple if you're willing to wait a little bit longer for it to get shipped from China. Porcelain tubes, same thing. I needed 2 of them, $26 each for a total of $52. They're on AliExpress. The price isn't on there, and it doesn't say how long they are, so you'd have to contact the seller, but I'm sure they're much cheaper if you want to give that a shot. Now, this is where you can save a lot of money if you can find some used shelves. Now, the shelves came with my kiln. I was so lucky with the used kiln, so I did not pay for shelves. You're going to need about a minimum of 8 kiln shelves at a total of $33.90 each for $271.20. Optional is putting 2 larger kiln shelves on top, and I definitely did this, and I would recommend it. But again, I got them for free. I put 2 larger kiln shelves from a 1227 kiln on top. It's going to protect that soft brick on the lid. You could just put the plain lid on there, but the salt is going to eat through that unless you have some sort of a coating on that. We'll find out later if the coatings work. If the coatings I'm trying out work, it might be totally something you can skip and coat the top of the lid with one of the coatings. But for now, I'm putting kiln shelves on there to protect the soft brick lid. And again, I got them for free, but each they're going to be $57.60, and you need 2 of them for a total of $115. Woo, that hurts. That's a lot. Now, kiln posts, again, those came with the kiln, and I already had a whole bunch, so I didn't pay for these, but I just put the very minimum over here. I didn't pick a variety of sizes. I would think about the size of pots you made. I just picked the same size, 6 inches, and you're going to need a minimum of 16 of them for $94.40. Then you're going to need the steel to go around the frame of the chimney. And it's much cheaper if you've never bought steel before to buy it from a steel yard. And the steel yard we have here in Jacksonville, All Roast Metals, they're fantastic. They always take care of me in there. They always give me scrap metal in the bin and help me out and do great things for me. So very thankful for their help, and they cut everything to exactly the same size as you need. If you've never purchased steel before, it's much cheaper to buy the whole stick of steel. It comes in like 20, 25 foot lengths. I just bought the whole stick of it and had them cut it. It's much cheaper than buying pre-cut pieces. They usually come in 4 foot lengths or other lengths, and definitely don't buy it at Home Depot. You're going to spend a fortune. So on the steel, and you're going to need, so it's 1.5 inch, 1/8 inch thick angle iron. You're going to need 2 pieces that are 54 inches long, and you're going to need 2 pieces that are 49 3/4 inch long. So all totaled together, having them cut it, having them put it in my truck, they're awesome people. I was $59.45. And then I used threaded rod to put it together. And that, including the little pieces of hardware and all that from Home Depot, You're gonna need two 6-foot pieces of 1/4 is $12 each at $24 total, bringing our total for the kiln $2,673.37. That sounds like a whole lot of money to me, and this is like one of those things where you can really save some money in certain areas and get it down. But if you don't have any materials already, $2,700 is not that much compared to, it's way cheaper than even an electric kiln. So I think it's still pretty good value, and it's super fun to build, and it's so far produced good results. I'm gonna be making as many pots as I can and taking all the revenue, which is not very much from YouTube, it's a very little amount, and from Vivor and everything like that. And I'm putting in an account, and when that gets the amount of money I need to build my next kiln, I'm gonna build the next kiln. And so I want to thank everybody for tuning in. This has been such a fun series. Stay tuned, subscribe. We're going to do more videos where we load and unload the kiln, try out different slips, try out all kinds of things. And I can't thank you enough. Everybody's been so supportive. Your likes, your comments, all of the excitement, it really pumps me up and it keeps me going. So keep them coming. I love to hear it. And if you want to get any of these pots, check out the link on the screen or in the description for my Etsy shop. You get 10% off. You don't need a discount code or anything like that. It's just 10% off. So I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.